and welcome to Your Daily Balance, Idaho Central Credit Union's video podcast, where we're here to talk to you about tips and tricks to help you on your way to achieving financial success. And today we're here with our very good friends from Stu-Kent. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
We have Brennan and Kevin, and I'll have you guys introduce yourselves and what you do at Stu-Kent.
I'm going to let Brennan go first.
Okay.
Thanks, Kevin. So my name's Brennan Summers. I am lucky at Stu-Kent to be able to manage a lot of our partnerships. So when there are organizations that, much like ICCU, who are interested in financial literacy in high school classes, I help facilitate those conversations and help deploy our simulation into high school classes.
Yes, and then you, Kevin.
I am the Chief Revenue Officer. So
Yes.
I know the first time we met, I had to explain that to you a little bit. So everything revenue involved, everything that comes from Brennan's team to 2-year, 4-year college and high school comes through my team.
Yeah. And I think the greatest thing about our partnership, and we've been partners for about 3 years, and it really is all about financial literacy and financial education. And when we first started this partnership, we were like, how can we help kids and our members be better with their finances earlier on in their lives? And I think it was just like a match made in heaven to put together Stu-Kent with Idaho Central Credit Union. So we're going to kind of dig into that and what that relationship looks like, why we've started that program together, and some of the great successes that we've really had along the way, which I think is so exciting, and I'm really excited to share with our members and our viewers. So first of all, we kicked off this partnership in 2019, right at the start of 2020, right?
Yeah.
Best time to kick off any new program.
Of course.
Yeah, but I think the point was, it was like, okay, we're all about providing a grant to high schools in Idaho and Eastern Washington to give them financial education in their schools. And so why don't we start with you, Kevin, and you talk about what Stu-Kent does and how that program works in the high schools.
Yeah, so we do a lot of things around education, but in particular with financial literacy, we have a simulation that students can go through and get some real-world hands-on experience around what it's like to be an adult or adulting, things that I wish I would have learned at a much younger age. They're going to get a chance to go through it. Brennan will talk a little bit more in depth about the product, but just in general, the things that we do are give students an opportunity to really start to understand what it's going to be like to understand financial literacy for their adult life down the road.
Yeah. And really, and Brennan, I'll turn this over to you, but it really starts at the beginning with creating a budget, how to open accounts, all of those things. So why don't you walk through all of the pieces of it and how it's kind of introduced in the classroom?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I love is ICCU is quick to recognize that when it comes to literacy and actual reading, you can't really go anywhere in the world if you can't read. Your progress just stops. But financial literacy hasn't been treated with kind of the same amount of weight of your future really is impeded if you can't manage your money.
It touches everything you do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So when our children are learning how to ride their bikes, it's training wheels and it's helmets, and we're really careful. And when they're learning how to swim, it's shallow end and floaties. But when it comes to finances, we tend to just push them in the proverbial deep end and hope they swim.
Yeah.
And as we had our conversations, ICCU recognized that our product in the classroom is beautiful to be able to prepare them to be able to swim in the deep end. So that's kind of the precursor to, if you're a high school student, whether you're in Eastern Washington or anywhere in Idaho, when you go into the class, instead of sitting down and getting a dry lecture on credit scores or compounding interest, instead you get to actually do it. Yeah. You get a actual account, a simulated account through ICCU where you get paid, and that money, you've got to budget it. And you're going to buy things in there. So what things do kids care about? They might want to sit in a certain desk.
Yeah.
They might
Real
need
estate.
a bathroom pass. They might need help on a test and quiz. And so there's all these ways to make the money real.
Yeah.
And for students to be able to invest in the stock market or pay down a student loan. They're going to understand everything from 401ks, and they're going to buy car insurance and health insurance and all sorts of things. It's a trial run at adulting. It's to have a real go at it, a safe environment to practice, a safe environment to succeed, and most importantly, a safe environment to fail.
Yeah. And that's the thing. They're getting all of these experiences, and I love to say this, but they're getting all of these real life experiences without the real life consequences.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, when you've had a time where, if you're budgeting your money or not budgeting it very well, and you're supposed to make this payment, but you don't have any money left because you didn't budget accordingly, if that happens in the classroom, you can have a hit on your credit, which
Right.
that would happen, right, in
Right.
the simulation.
Yeah, correct.
But it's not a real hit on your real credit that could really be real consequences
yeah.
for you.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
hoping they understand that earlier, that there are real consequences to making decisions around financial literacy. Brendan's pretty passionate about it. You see why I brought
Yes.
him. I mean,
No,
he
I
explains
love
our
that.
product and
I
what
love
we're doing
that.
very well, but he does a good job of talking through the excitement around. It's not just a game in the classroom. We try to make it fun, but then again, you're also learning the real consequences of it.
Yeah. And this has really been a need in Idaho. I mean, we and all over really the entire country. You were saying, how many states is Stu Kent in?
So our financial literacy product is throughout the whole country. So all 50 states, we
Wow.
have teachers will scrap together budget to be able to provide this to their students. And then we have organizations like ICCU who are stepping up and saying, you know what, we want to provide this where there's not budget.
Yeah.
It's a sad thing, but financial literacy is the last thing funded in a lot of school districts. It's, behind PE and behind everything else, driver's ed and all that. They struggle to put together the penny. So organizations are willing to step up and say, this is an important thing, and
Yeah.
we want our students to be able to have an opportunity to experience
Yeah.
it.
Well, and we see that with our members. We know that we've had members that have had hard times, and you just wish you could have helped them earlier in their lives. And I think you were going to say something about credit scores.
Right.
Like,
So I
yeah.
love to ask people
Yes.
at what age they knew what a good credit score is. We'll put Kevin on the spot.
Okay,
here.
okay.
All right, Kevin, what age do you think you knew what a good credit score was?
I remember I was trying to buy my first car. It was right after college, so I must have been, 24, 25 years old. And I didn't really know the consequences of a credit score. And they asked me about mine. Fortunately, I had a good enough credit score, but it was just lucky because I really didn't know much about it. So that's
Yeah.
when I was first, brought.
Yeah.
Early 20s.
Yeah.
What
Same
about
with
you?
me.
Yeah.
Same with me, but really, I started at Idaho Central back in those days, which is great.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from working here and from being exposed to all of the training in financial literacy that we do here with our team members and our members. So that's when I really learned about it. And it was kind of, I think back then, I also feel like it was more of a mystery even than it is today. I think it's become a lot more clear. But tell us what you find with most people.
So, I mean, we're in our 20s before we're finding out what a good credit score is.
Yeah.
These studies show that most people don't know what a good credit score is. They might understand what those words are together, but to conceptualize that concept, they don't get it until they actually need credit, right? It's when they are
Absolutely.
in your
Right.
lobby saying, hey,
Yep.
I need this car. And that's a scary thing to think that we aren't understanding it until we need it. I compare it to it, it's like learning how to do the Heimlich when the person across from you is choking at dinner. It's not the right time. You need to be prepared before you need it.
Right.
And students in Idaho and Eastern Washington are going to understand credit score because they're experiencing it. In the class, they'll have a credit score, and that credit score will change based on their decisions. So, got to show up, got to turn in your work. Are you missing payments? What's your debt to income ratio? And when that dings their credit score, that's going to frustrate them because they need to apply for loans in the simulation. And ultimately, their credit score is going to be how they get a good grade in the class. And so it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've talked about our partnership with that. And Idaho Central, we feel so passionately about this that we did do a grant 3 years ago to offer this to all of the schools in Idaho and Eastern Washington, all the high schools. How many high schools are utilizing this service at this time?
So right now we have 250 high schools,
Yes.
and we have over 15,000 students that are utilizing it right now. So,
Wow.
Yeah, it's great.
That's so amazing. And I know we've had some really great feedback from students and teachers. And do you have a couple that you
I
can
do.
share? I know you brought them, and I'm like, I just love these. And so I feel like
We think
should
we've got
share
a great
these.
product.
Yeah, well, yes.
But we don't want anyone to take our word for it, right?
Right.
So we
Right.
went straight to the teachers and we said, all right, so what are these students thinking about? Now, picturing some of these students are like 16-year-olds that nothing's cool to them, right? And so to get this kind of feedback, we love where teachers throughout the two states are saying things like, the only complaint my students have is they wish they had more time in the simulation, which is wild. No student, a teenager wants to spend more time in the classroom, but they do. We hear teachers say things like, I've never had so many students register for my class. Each class, more and more students are registering because this is fun, new, and engaging.
Right.
So we love the feedback we get where the teachers talk about how the students absolutely love it. It adds value to their class. And it's great for students to have a simulated bank account and they get to experience what life is like in the real world.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And we've had some one, I think, really big success over the last several months, actually.
Yeah.
And you and I got to be there for it.
We did. I don't know how we got invited to that,
I
but
know,
we did, right?
We were so lucky.
It was awesome.
But in March,
Yeah.
House Bill 92 was signed by Governor Little in the state of Idaho that required financial literacy courses in all public high schools in Idaho. And that was a huge move for Idaho.
It was. It was a big move for Idaho, but that's the 23rd state
Yes.
to adopt that. And so, yeah, it was big for Idaho. Brennan probably going to talk a little bit about where Idaho was compared to some of the other states if you want him to.
Yeah, sure.
Because he deals with all the states. He has more experience than I do. But for Idaho, that was a big plus. I mean, we got to see the excitement around it and the other people that were involved, so it was great.
Yeah, it was. And we did have some work to do, right? We do have some work to do.
Yeah, so this program that over 250 high schools are using, thanks to ICCU, we didn't have anybody using it. Not a single customer in Idaho, because the courses weren't offered and because there wasn't the funding there, right? So ICCU stepped up and said, we're going to help provide the funding. And Superintendent Critchfield and Governor Little stepped up and said, we want to make sure the courses are offered. And Idaho went from bottom of the list, the worst in the country in terms of financial literacy. And the way they judge that is based on how much access does a student have to financial education. So we're excited to see how Idaho rapidly moves up that list. Right. Those 250 high schools, it's going to be tripled and doubled, and we're excited to see more and more students throughout Idaho get some exposure to this, because they say that the best anti-poverty program that can ever be instituted is education. And so we look at this and we say this is the way to break the poverty cycle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about privilege in the world, and we think there's a unique amount of privilege when you get to understand how the economy works compared to those who don't. So there's a lot of people born on third base who think they hit a triple. We want to make sure every kid has an opportunity when they step up to that base to understand how it works and be able to finish strong.
Yeah. So important. And really, again, I mean, your finances really do, no matter where you're at in your life, in your
how much is in your bank account? Yeah.
Yes, but everybody's touching money all the time. And when you make smart decisions with your money, you're going to help yourself and your family be in a better place overall. So we've talked about 250 schools that are participating. That's not all the schools in Idaho and Eastern Washington. So how would people find out if their school is participating already, or what they could do to participate if they're not already participating in this program?
Yeah, they can go to our website. So our website's very easy. It's www.stukent.com/ICCU, and it'll talk all about the program, whether or not their school's already signed up. Probably coming to a school near you if you're not, because we're constantly signing up new schools every day. So, if you go to the website, you can find out, learn more, and push your school to join if they have it. So,
I love that. That is really great. Is there anything else that we haven't covered today that we need to cover before we wrap this up?
I think one thing we constantly hear that we'd be remiss if we didn't point out is whenever we talk to educators and students about this and make sure they're having a good experience, they're very quick to point out. They say, please tell ICC thank you for this. They would not have had the opportunity to use it, and it has completely transformed their classroom and the learning experience to be able to have access to this. So they're very appreciative, as are we, for ICC stepping up and really putting the money where their mouth is and saying, you know what, we want less delinquent accounts. We want more successful consumers, and so we're going to make sure that the youth are prepared. And we're excited to see what it looks like. There's a lot of crises right now, whether it's student loans, whether it's homelessness, substance abuse, and all of those to some point can be mitigated if we understand how to manage our finances. And so educators and students are really appreciative of what your folks are doing to make sure that those problems get changed.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And that's what we do at Idaho Central. We talk about it a lot, that we're here to help our members achieve financial success. And we just really think this is a key way to help our future members and these kids as they're growing up into adults achieve financial success. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really great talking to you. And thank you for being here with us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to be notified of upcoming episodes, and we will see you next time.